I've stood in front of judges who could end lives with a signature. I've cross-examined witnesses who lied through their teeth. I've negotiated plea deals worth millions while drinking cold coffee at 3 o'clock in the morning. In 15 years as a criminal defense attorney, I thought nothing could shake me. Until the night I stopped for gas on Route 99, and the woman behind the bulletproof glass had my dead sister's face. Welcome back to Dad's True Revenge. Grab your snacks, get comfortable, and remember, the people in these stories had every chance to behave themselves. They just chose wrong. Drop a comment and be sure to subscribe. You're going to love it here. Let me back up. It was 12:15 in the morning. Wednesday. I remember because I always check my watch after late sessions. The kind of night where the air smells like wet asphalt and diesel, and the sky can't decide between black and dark gray. I'd just spent 6 hours with a client whose money laundering charges required 3 whiteboards to explain. David Romano. Charming guy. Too charming. The kind of man who wears $15,000 suits and smiles like he's never worried about anything. But that night, I wasn't thinking about Romano. I was thinking about my bed and whether I'd remembered to pay my electricity bill. Route 99 was empty. Seattle at midnight is a different city. Quieter. My headlights cut through fog rolling in from the sound, and I realized I was running on empty. The Shell station appeared like a small bright island in an ocean of darkness. One of those 24-hour places that feels post-apocalyptic after midnight. Fluorescent lights too bright. Pavement that's seen better decades. I pulled up to pump 7. $43.18 later, I walked inside to pay. The register was behind bulletproof glass, standard for late-night stations in this part of Seattle. I approached the window, pulling out my wallet. Pump 7, I said. The woman behind the glass looked up. Time did something strange, not slow motion exactly. More like my brain stopped processing information in the right order. Because the face looking back at me belonged to my sister. My sister who had been dead for 5 years. I'm not talking about someone who looked like her. I'm talking about Diane. Same dark hair, shorter now. Same brown eyes with gold flecks. Same small scar on her left eyebrow from when she fell off her bike at 8, and I told her I'd catch her. I didn't. My mouth opened. Nothing came out. My hand froze halfway to the glass. I am not a man who freezes. I've stared down prosecutors with decades more experience. I've delivered closing arguments with a fever. But in that moment, I froze. The woman froze too. I watched recognition hit her face like lightning. Her eyes went wide. Her face went paper white. She knew me, and I knew her. And that should have been impossible because I'd been to her funeral. I'd watched her closed casket. I'd stood between my parents as they sobbed. I'd given a eulogy I wrote at 4 in the morning because I couldn't sleep. Now she was here, behind bulletproof glass, wearing a name tag that said Sarah. Pump 7, I said again. It came out strangled. Her hand trembled as she picked up a pen. 4318, she said through the speaker. Her voice. God. It was Diane's voice. Raspier. More worn, but hers. Diane, I said. Just her name. Barely a whisper. She flinched like I'd struck her. Her eyes darted to the camera in the corner, then to the door, then back to me. Fear. The kind you see in hunted animals. You need to pay and leave, she said. Flat. Professional. Diane, it's me. It's Marcus. What the hell is going on? Everyone thinks you're dead. She shook her head. Tiny, quick. Her eyes filled with tears. She was fighting back. Please. Please, just pay and go. I'm not going anywhere until you tell me what's happening. She looked at me then. Really looked at me. And I saw terror. Pure terror. The kind that comes from being hunted. She grabbed a receipt, flipped it over, started writing. Her hand shook so badly I didn't know how she was forming letters. She slid the paper through the opening. Her freezing fingers brushed mine for just a second. I looked down. An address in Diane's handwriting. I'd recognize it anywhere. Below it, smaller letters. 2 o'clock. Come alone. If you bring anyone, I disappear forever. When I looked up, she was staring at me with an intensity that felt like a physical force. Then she said one word, so quietly I almost didn't hear it. Mark. Nobody called me Mark. Nobody except Diane. Her nickname for me since she was 6 and decided Marcus was too formal. That one word confirmed everything. This wasn't a hallucination. This was my sister, alive. 5 years after I'd buried her. I slid my credit card through. She processed it without looking, handed me the receipt without touching me. Have a good night, she said. Loud enough for the camera. Professional. Like I was just another customer. You too. I managed. I walked out on legs that didn't feel like mine. Sat in my car. Engine running. Heater blasting. I couldn't feel anything. 20 minutes passed. I just stared at that piece of paper. At my sister's handwriting. At instructions written by a ghost. I checked my watch. 12:37. Less than 90 minutes to decide what to do. I pulled out my phone. Mom's number was right there. So was Dad's. I could call them. Tell them what I'd seen. We could go together. But her eyes. The terror. If you bring anyone, I disappear forever. I thought about the funeral. About standing in the rain watching them lower a casket into the ground. About my mother's screams. About my father's silence that was somehow worse. About the guilt that had lived in my chest for 5 years because I hadn't protected her, and now she was alive. Terrified. Working midnight shifts and looking at me like I was the most dangerous thing she'd ever seen. Dead people don't come back. Dead people don't work night shifts at gas stations. Dead people don't write notes and schedule midnight meetings. But apparently, my sister did. I put the car in gear and drove toward the address on that paper. Every logical part of my brain screamed that this was impossible, that this was a trap, that this was a breakdown 5 years in the making. But I went anyway, because she'd called me Mark. And that meant wherever she'd been for 5 years, whatever had happened to her, whoever she'd become behind that bulletproof glass, she was still my sister. And I'd failed to protect her once. I wasn't going to fail again. I sat in my car for 20 minutes, engine running, heater blasting, staring at a piece of paper that shouldn't exist. Dead people don't write notes. The memories came in waves. Diane at 7, scraping her knee on our driveway. Me putting a Band-Aid on it, telling her big brothers fix everything. She believed me. Diane at 16, crying after her first heartbreak. Some idiot named Tyler. I told her she deserved better. She laughed through tears and said I had to say that because I was her brother. Diane at 23 in a wedding dress, walking toward David Romano. I was supposed to be happy. I wasn't. Something about David felt wrong. Too smooth. Too perfect. I should have said something. But what? Don't marry him because he seems too charming? You don't blow up your sister's wedding over a feeling. 3 years later, she was dead. Car accident on Interstate 5. Single vehicle collision. Her car went through a guardrail, rolled down an embankment, burst into flames. They recovered enough for DNA confirmation, but not enough for an open casket. The funeral was on a Tuesday. It rained. My mother screamed when they lowered the casket. This raw animal sound I still hear sometimes. My father didn't make a sound, just stood there, tears running down his face. I gave the eulogy. Something about how Diane lit up every room. Standard funeral talk. For 5 years, I carried that guilt. Not protecting her. Not speaking up about David. Not being there that night. My phone was in my hand. I typed David Romano Seattle into Google. David Romano, 49, CEO of Romano Logistics. Import-export business. Warehouses throughout the Pacific Northwest. Charitable foundation. I kept scrolling. Article from 3 years ago. Local businessman mourns wife. Lost in tragic accident. Photo of David. At the funeral. Black suit. Tired eyes. Then the next article. 2 months old. Romano Logistics CEO faces federal investigation for money laundering. My blood went cold. Federal prosecutors alleging Romano Logistics was a front for drug trafficking, ties to organized crime, millions moving through shell companies. I knew this case. 6 weeks ago, my senior partner brought me into his office. New client, high profile, big money. He slid a folder across the desk. David Romano. I'd taken it. Innocent until proven guilty. Everyone deserves representation. 6 weeks building Romano's defense. 6 weeks sitting across from a man who'd buried my sister. A man who'd cried at her funeral. A man she'd been running from. Diane had found something. Something that made her dangerous. David made it look like an accident. Except he hadn't killed her. My watch read 1:47. I put the car in gear. The address led to the Starlight Motel. Pink neon sign with half the letters burned out. I parked in front of room 12. Before I could knock, the door opened. Diane stood there, 5 years older, 20 pounds lighter, hair dyed darker. We stared at each other. Her eyes filled with tears. "Mark," she whispered. Then she collapsed forward. I caught her, wrapped my arms around her, felt her sob into my shoulder. She was so thin. "It's okay," I said. "I've got you." We stood in the doorway, while my dead sister cried in my arms. She pulled back, wiped her face. "You shouldn't have come. You asked me to." "I know. But you shouldn't have." She glanced at the parking lot. "Come inside." Quickly, I stepped in. She locked the door, put the chain on, checked the curtain. The room was what you'd expect. Faded bedspread, old carpet, smell of cigarettes, a single bag in the corner. "Diane, what the hell is going on?" She turned to face me, terror in her eyes. "David," she said. "David Romano, your husband." "Ex-husband, Mark. I didn't die in that accident. I figured that out. David tried to kill me. I found something. Something I wasn't supposed to find. The drug trafficking." Her eyes snapped to mine. "You know, I'm his lawyer." She went pale, staggered backward. "What?" "I've been building his defense for 6 weeks. I didn't know it was him until 20 minutes ago." She was shaking her head. "No, this is bad. Mark, if David finds out you saw me, how are you alive? The DNA evidence. The funeral." She sat on the bed, exhausted. "FBI. Witness protection. I found proof of what David was doing. They offered me a deal. Testify and disappear. You let us think you were dead for 5 years. I had to. He would have killed you. Killed Mom and Dad. The only way to keep you safe was to die." I sat down next to her. "What happened to the protection?" "It got compromised 3 months ago. Someone leaked information. FBI moved me twice, but I didn't trust it. So I left. Got fake ID. Found cash work. Why Seattle?" She looked at me, tears running down her face. "Because you're here. Even though I couldn't see you, just knowing you were in the same city made me feel less alone." Something in my chest cracked open. "Diane, he knows. David knows I'm alive. I don't know how, but he knows. And if he finds out you know, he'll kill you too." My phone buzzed. Text from my senior partner. "Romano wants emergency meeting tomorrow, 8 a.m. Says it's urgent. About his ex-wife." My blood turned to ice. I showed Diane the text. Watched the color drain from her face. "He's testing you," she whispered. "He knows you're my brother. He's had 6 weeks to research you. This is a test." "A test of what?" "To see if you know I'm alive. To see if you'll protect me or protect him." I looked at my sister. At 5 years of fear carved into her face. At the cheap motel room that was her entire world now. At the way she kept glancing at the door like someone might kick it down any second. Then I looked at my phone. At a meeting scheduled for 8 in the morning with a man who'd tried to murder my sister. A man who was my client. A man I'd sworn to defend. Attorney-client privilege. The sacred bond between lawyer and client. The foundation of everything I'd built my career on. Versus my sister. My baby sister, who used to believe I could fix anything with a band-aid. I'll figure something out, I said. Mark, I'll figure it out. I'm not letting him hurt you again. She looked at me with those same eyes from when she was 7, still believing I could fix everything. I just hoped I wasn't lying to her this time. Outside, the neon sign flickered. Star-ite Moel. The missing letters felt like an omen. Some things, once broken, you can't put back together. But I was going to try anyway. I didn't go home that night. I went to my office. At 3 a.m, downtown Seattle is a ghost town. Empty streets, dark windows. The only sounds are your footsteps and the occasional distant siren. I parked in the underground garage, took the elevator to the 14th floor, and let myself into Chen and Associates. The reception area was dark. I didn't turn on the lights. Just walked straight to my office, closed the door, and sat down at my desk surrounded by David Romano's case files. For 15 years, I'd believed in something. Attorney-client privilege. The sacred duty to defend. The principle that everyone, even the guilty, deserves representation. It's what separates us from mob justice. It's what makes the system work. But that principle never had to face my sister before. I opened the first file. Discovery materials. Financial records. Email correspondence. 6 weeks of work spread across my desk. 6 weeks of building a defense for a man who'd tried to kill Diane. I started over. Read everything like it was the first time. But now, I wasn't reading as his lawyer. I was reading as someone looking for proof. The timeline jumped out at me immediately. How had I missed it? 5 years ago, 2 weeks before Diane's accident, David had made 3 large wire transfers to offshore accounts. The amounts were buried in legitimate business expenses, but they were there. $40,000, $60,000, $85,000. 3 days before the accident, David's alibi was airtight. Business dinner with 12 witnesses. But the dinner ended at 9:30. The accident happened at 11:15. That's a gap. A gap I'd noted but hadn't questioned. I kept digging. Found an email thread from 3 months ago. Encrypted. Our tech expert had cracked it for the defense. I'd skimmed it before, looking for exculpatory evidence. Now I read it carefully. David discussing a problem with someone named MT. The witness situation has become complicated. Need your help ensuring she stays gone. MT. I pulled up the witness list. Scrolled through names. Michael Torres, former FBI agent. Current private security consultant. One of David's character witnesses. Set to testify about David's outstanding moral character and commitment to lawful business practices. Former FBI. Diane said witness protection got compromised 3 months ago. 3 months ago was exactly when this email was sent. I grabbed my phone. Called someone I hadn't spoken to in 3 years. Agent Sarah Chen. No relation. Different spelling. We'd worked together on a case back when I did some pro bono work for the public defender's office. She answered on the 4th ring, voice thick with sleep. This better be life or death, Marcus. It is. I need to know about a compromised witness protection case 3 months ago. Pacific Northwest. Silence. Then, what the hell are you talking about? I can't explain over the phone. Can you meet me? It's 3:30 in the morning. I know. Please, Sarah. I wouldn't call if it wasn't critical. Another pause. Diner on Pike Street. 1 hour. She hung up. I looked at my watch. 4:30. The meeting with David was in 3.5 hours. I spent the time preparing. Not for his defense. For war. At 8 o'clock exactly, my secretary buzzed me. Mr. Romano is here. Send him in. The door opened. David Romano walked into my office like he owned it. $15,000 suit. Perfectly styled hair. Smile that could sell ice to Alaskans. Marcus. Thank you for making time on short notice. Of course, you said it was urgent. He sat down across from my desk, crossed his legs, completely relaxed. I need to discuss something sensitive. About my ex-wife. I kept my face neutral. I thought she passed away. That's what everyone thinks. He leaned forward slightly. But I've been receiving indications she might be alive. My heart was pounding. I focused on keeping my breathing steady. What kind of indications? Photographs. Anonymous. Sent to my office. A woman who looks remarkably like Diane. Working at various locations around Seattle. Have you contacted the police? Not yet. I wanted to consult with you first. Legal implications. You understand. He was testing me. Diane was right. If your ex-wife is alive, I said carefully, that's a personal matter, not related to your case. Perhaps. But if she's alive, Marcus, she might try to interfere with my defense. She might make accusations. False accusations, of course. We didn't part on good terms. Most divorces don't end well. He smiled. True. But some end worse than others. The threat was implicit. Elegant. Deniable. You grew up in Seattle, didn't you? He asked suddenly. Born and raised. Large family? Small. Just me and my sister. Just the two of you. How nice. He stood up. Walked to my window. Looked out at the city. Family is everything, Marcus. I've always believed that. When you lose family, it leaves a hole nothing else can fill. He was talking about Diane, about her death, but the way he said it felt like a warning. Is there anything specific you need from me regarding this matter? I asked. He turned back to me. Just your discretion. And your loyalty. I've been very pleased with your work. I'd hate for anything to compromise our professional relationship. Attorney-client privilege is sacred to me. I'm glad to hear that. He walked to the door. Stopped. Oh, I almost forgot. He pulled an envelope from his inside jacket pocket, set it on my desk. I thought you might want to see this. One of the photographs I mentioned. He left. Door clicking shut softly behind him. I stared at the envelope for a full minute before I opened it. Inside was a photograph. Time-stamped. 12:17 a.m. Last night. Security camera footage from the Shell station on Route 99. Diane behind the register. Crystal clear. And in the corner of the frame, barely visible, but unmistakable, the front end of my car at pump 7. He knew. He'd known the entire time I sat across from him. And now he knew that I knew. The game had begun. I grabbed my phone. Called Diane's burner number. We have a problem, I said when she answered. He knows I found you. And I think he's going to move fast. I had maybe 4 hours before David found Diane. 4 hours to do what the FBI couldn't do in 5 years. Make her disappear. I grabbed my keys and ran. The drive to the Starlight Motel should have taken 20 minutes. I made it in 12. Ran 3 red lights and didn't care. Pulled into the parking lot, and my stomach dropped. Room 12's door was wide open. I was out of my car before the engine stopped. Ran to the room. Diane. Empty. The bed was made. The single bag was gone. No sign of struggle. Just empty. My phone rang. Unknown number. Mark. Diane's voice. Shaking but alive. I saw a car circling. Black sedan. I left through the bathroom window. I'm at the gas station 2 blocks south. Stay there. I'm coming. I found her behind a dumpster at an Arco station, clutching her bag, eyes wild. She jumped into my car before I'd fully stopped. Drive. Just drive. I drove. No destination. Just away. Where can we go? She asked. He has money. Resources. He'll find me again. My place. He won't expect that. Your place? Mark. He knows you're my brother. Exactly. It's too obvious. He'll expect you to run, not hide with me. She didn't look convinced, but she was out of options. My condo was in Capitol Hill. 15th floor. Good security. I got her inside. Locked every lock. Closed every curtain. She sat on my couch looking like a hunted animal. What now? Now I call someone who can actually help us. I met Agent Sarah Chen at the diner on Pike Street at noon. She looked exactly how I remembered. Sharp eyes. No nonsense expression. Coffee already ordered. You look terrible, she said. Haven't slept. This better be good. I told her everything. Diane alive. David Romano. Witness protection compromised. Michael Torres. She listened without interrupting. When I finished, she was quiet for a long moment. I can't confirm or deny an active witness protection case, Sarah, but hypothetically, if such a case existed and was compromised 3 months ago, and if a former agent named Michael Torres was potentially involved, that would be very interesting information. Hypothetically, we've suspected a leak for months, but we have no proof. Torres is smart, careful. He's covered his tracks perfectly. So what do we do? We? Marcus, you're a civilian. And technically, you're representing the man we're investigating. Not anymore. I'm withdrawing from the case. Conflict of interest. That won't protect your sister. If David knows she's alive, he'll keep hunting her until she's not. Then what's the solution? Sarah leaned back. Studied me. We need David to incriminate himself. On record. With witnesses. How? By giving him exactly what he wants. I didn't like where this was going. Explain. We set a trap. Use your sister as bait. David makes a move. We catch him in the act. Get him on attempted murder, conspiracy, witness tampering, charges that will put him away for life. Absolutely not. I'm not putting Diane in danger. She's already in danger. This way, at least she has the FBI backing her up. The same FBI that let Torres compromise her protection? The same FBI that's willing to put 20 agents on this, if it means catching both David and Torres. I wanted to say no. Every instinct screamed to grab Diane and run. Mexico. Canada. Somewhere David's money couldn't reach. But Sarah was right. Running meant looking over our shoulders forever. This ended one way, with David in prison, or Diane dead. What's the plan? I asked. 3 hours later, I was back at my condo explaining the plan to Diane. She listened. Face pale. Hands trembling. You want me to walk back into his trap? She said when I finished. Into our trap. FBI will be everywhere. Watching. Recording. The second David makes a move, they'll have him. And if something goes wrong, I couldn't answer that. Because things went wrong all the time. She stood up. Walked to my window. Looked out at the city she'd been hiding in for 3 months. 5 years, she said quietly. 5 years I've been dead. 5 years Mom and Dad have been grieving. 5 years of watching from the shadows while everyone I love moved on without me. Diane. He took everything from me, Mark. My life, my family, my name. She turned to face me. I want it back. This is dangerous. Living like this is dangerous. At least this way, I'm fighting back. You don't have to do this. Yes, I do. She smiled. Sad and tired, but determined. Besides, you said you'd protect me. Big brothers fix everything, remember? My chest tightened. I lied when I said that. I was 7. I didn't know what I was promising. But you're going to try anyway. Yeah. I am. She nodded. Then let's do it. Tonight. Before I lose my nerve. Agent Sarah assembled her team by 6 p.m. 20 agents, surveillance van, wire equipment, tactical unit on standby. The plan was simple in theory, complicated in execution. Diane would return to her shift at the Shell station. Work like normal. I'd make sure David knew where she was. He'd come for her, and we'd be ready. The key is getting him to say something incriminating before we move in, Sarah explained. We need him to threaten her. Admit to the original attempt. Something that'll hold up in court. And Torres? I asked. We think he'll come with David. They're partners now. Both of them will go down together. Diane was fitted with a wire. Tiny microphone concealed under her uniform. Camera in the gas station would catch everything. You just have to keep him talking, Sarah told her. We'll handle the rest. Diane nodded, trying to look brave. I could see the fear underneath. We had 3 hours until midnight. 3 hours to prepare for the moment that would either free my sister or get her killed. I pulled Diane aside. You can still back out. So can you. I'm serious. So am I. She touched my arm. Mark, whatever happens tonight, thank you. For believing me. For not walking away. You're my sister. Where else would I go? She hugged me. Tight. Like she was afraid to let go. See you on the other side, she whispered. Then she got into the FBI van, and they drove toward the Shell station on Route 99. The place where this all started. The place where, one way or another, it would end. Midnight at a gas station is where bad men meet worse decisions. I sat in my car 300 feet away, parked behind a closed auto repair shop. Through binoculars, I could see Diane behind the bulletproof glass. She looked calm, professional, like she did this every night. But I knew her. I could see the tension in her shoulders, the way she kept glancing at the door. Agent Sarah's voice crackled through my earpiece. All units in position. Chen, you reading me? Copy, I said. Remember, you stay in that car, no matter what happens. We have 20 agents surrounding that station. Let us do our job. Understood. I didn't mean it. If things went wrong, I was going in. Sister Trump's protocol. The wire on Diane transmitted clearly. I could hear everything. A customer buying cigarettes. The beep of the register. The hum of fluorescent lights. 11:42 p.m. 11:51 p.m. 11:58 p.m. At midnight exactly, headlights appeared on Route 99. Black sedan, moving slowly, deliberately. We have visual, Sarah said. Black Mercedes. License plate matches Romano's vehicle. My heart was pounding so hard I could hear it over the earpiece. The Mercedes pulled into the station, parked away from the pumps. Under a broken light, 2 men got out. David Romano. Expensive coat, confident walk, and beside him, a stocky man in tactical gear. Michael Torres. Target confirmed, Sarah said. Torres is armed. Repeat. Torres is armed. Through my binoculars, I watched them approach the station. David's face was casual, almost friendly. Torres scanned the area like a professional, looking for threats. They didn't see the FBI van disguised as a delivery truck. Didn't see the agents positioned on the roof across the street. Didn't see the plainclothes officers pretending to be homeless near the dumpster. David walked up to the window, smiled at Diane. Through the wire, I heard his voice. Smooth, charming. Hello, Diane. Or should I call you Sarah? Diane's response was steady. I don't know what you're talking about. Don't insult my intelligence. I know it's you. I've known for weeks. Then why are you here? Because we need to have a conversation. About the past. About what you think you know. I don't think. I know. I have proof of everything. David's smile faded. Had proof. Past tense. The FBI lost it when you ran. Without you, without physical evidence, they have nothing. They have me. I can testify. Testify to what? A failed marriage? Some suspicions about my business? Diane, you've been legally dead for 5 years. Who's going to believe the word of a ghost? Torres was circling the building, checking angles. I didn't like it. Sarah, I whispered into my mic. Torres is moving. We see him. Stay calm. David leaned closer to the glass. His voice dropped, colder now. I let you live once. I staged that accident to scare you into silence. I thought you understood the message. But then you went to the FBI. You forced my hand. You tried to kill me. I tried to protect my business. You were collateral damage. I was your wife. You were a liability. Through the wire, I heard Diane's breathing quicken. Fear creeping in. The problem is, David continued, you're still a liability. And I don't leave loose ends. He nodded to Torres. Torres reached into his jacket. Gun, Sarah shouted. All units move in. Move in now. Everything happened at once. FBI agents emerged from everywhere. Van doors flew open. Agents on the roof stood up. Plainclothes officers rushed forward. FBI! Hands in the air. But Torres was faster than they expected. He spun, pulled his weapon, fired 3 shots at the nearest agents. They dove for cover. David ran for the Mercedes, and I stopped thinking. I was out of my car, running toward the station before my brain caught up. Saw Torres turn toward Diane. Saw him raising his gun toward the bulletproof glass. Bulletproof doesn't mean bullet immune. Enough shots in the same spot, and it'll crack. He fired. Once. Twice. Spiderweb cracks appeared in the glass. I was 30 feet away. 20. Marcus, get back. Sarah screaming in my ear. Torres fired again. The glass cracked deeper. I hit him from the side. Full tackle. We went down hard on the pavement. His gun skittered away. He was stronger than he looked. Flipped me over. Fist coming at my face. I blocked. Barely. Hit back. Connected with his jaw. Then agents were on him, pulling him off me, slamming him face down, cuffing him. I scrambled up. Diane. She was on the floor behind the counter. Curled up, covering her head, but alive. David had made it to the Mercedes. Engine started, but he was boxed in, FBI vehicles blocking every exit. He tried anyway. Slammed into reverse. Hit an FBI SUV. Threw it in drive. Agents surrounded him. Guns drawn. Out of the vehicle. Now. David sat there for a long moment. Hands on the wheel. Weighing options that didn't exist. Then his door opened. He stepped out. Hands up. That same smile on his face. There's been a misunderstanding, he said calmly. I'm happy to clear this up. Agent Sarah walked up to him. David Romano, you're under arrest for attempted murder, conspiracy to commit murder, witness tampering, and about 15 other charges I'll think of on the way to the station. They cuffed him, read him his rights. He never stopped smiling. As they put him in the squad car, he looked directly at me. And he winked. Like this was just a minor setback. Like he'd be out by morning. Like he was still in control. I walked to the gas station. The door was locked from the inside. I knocked. Diane? It's me. It's over. The lock clicked. Door opened. And there she was. Alive. Shaking. But alive. She fell into my arms. I held her while FBI agents secured the scene. While they put Torres in a separate car. While they searched the Mercedes and found a briefcase full of incriminating documents David had been stupid enough to bring. Evidence. Real evidence. Emails. Financial records. A burner phone with messages to Torres about eliminating the witness. He kept it all, Sarah said, holding up the briefcase. Arrogant idiot, actually kept records. Why? I asked. Insurance. Probably planned to use it against Torres if he ever needed leverage. Classic criminal mistake. Never trust your accomplices and always keep receipts. Diane pulled back. Looked up at me. Is it really over? Yeah, I said. It's really over. She started crying. Not scared crying. Relief crying. 5 years of tension, finally breaking. I can go home, she whispered. I can actually go home. I held my sister while red and blue lights painted the gas station walls. While Agent Sarah coordinated with prosecutors. While Torres shouted about lawyers from the back of his car. The Shell station on Route 99, where I'd found my dead sister 3 days ago. Where tonight, I got to watch her come back to life. 3 weeks later, I drove my sister home. Not to a motel. Not to a safe house. Home. To Portland. Oregon. To the house where we grew up. To our parents who'd been mourning her for 5 years. The legal process had been complicated. You can't just undie. There were death certificates to void. Social Security records to correct. Insurance claims to reverse. A whole paper trail of grief that had to be unwound. But Agent Sarah pulled strings. called in favors, made it happen. I'd withdrawn from David Romano's case the morning after his arrest, sent a formal letter citing conflict of interest. My senior partner called me into his office. I thought I was getting fired. Instead, he said, I read the police report, your sister. I'm sorry for everything you've been through. Take whatever time you need. The firm won't face blowback. Let me worry about that. You did the right thing, Marcus. Not the easy thing, the right thing. That matters more. David Romano and Michael Torres were both in federal custody. Prosecutors had enough evidence to bury them both. The briefcase from David's car contained 5 years of incriminating communications, financial records, plans, a digital trail of every crime they'd committed. Torres took a deal, 15 years in exchange for testimony against David. David refused to deal. Thought his lawyers could save him. They couldn't. The evidence was overwhelming. Video, audio, witness testimony from Diane. But I wasn't thinking about legal proceedings as I drove up Interstate 5. I was thinking about what I was about to do to my parents. How do you tell your mother and father their dead daughter is alive? How do you prepare them for that shock? You don't. You just do it. We'd called ahead. Told them I was coming to visit. Didn't explain why. They thought it was just a normal weekend visit. I pulled into the driveway at 4 p.m. on a Saturday. The house looked exactly the same. Same blue paint. Same flower boxes Mom insisted on maintaining. Same tire swing in the oak tree that nobody had used in 20 years. Diane was shaking. I don't know if I can do this. You can. What if they're angry? What if they can't forgive me for letting them think I was dead? They're not going to be angry. They're going to be grateful. She didn't look convinced. We got out of the car. Walked to the front door. I rang the bell. Mom answered. Smiled when she saw me. Marcus, you're early. Then she saw Diane behind me. Her smile froze. Her face went white. She grabbed the doorframe like her legs had stopped working. Hi, Mom, Diane said softly. Mom made a sound. Not a word. Just a sound. Something between a gasp and a sob. It's me. It's really me. Mom's knees buckled. I caught her. Mom, she's alive. Diane's alive. Dad appeared in the hallway. What's going on? Why is your mother? He saw Diane. Stopped walking. Stopped breathing. Dad, Diane whispered. He didn't move, just stared, like he was seeing a ghost and didn't know if it was real or if grief had finally broken his mind. It's really her, I said. She's alive. She's been alive. I'll explain everything, but right now, your daughter is standing on your porch, and she needs you to believe she's real. Dad moved first, walked forward like he was in a dream, reached out, touched Diane's face, her hair, like he needed physical proof. Baby girl? His voice cracked. Hi, Daddy. Then he pulled her into his arms and broke down completely. Just sobbed. This big, strong man who never cried, crying like his heart was being put back together after 5 years of being shattered. Mom was crying too, wrapped her arms around both of them. The three of them standing in the doorway, holding each other, all of them shaking. I stood back, let them have the moment, watched my family knit itself back together. Eventually, we moved inside, sat in the living room. Diane told them everything. The discovery about David's business, the FBI, witness protection, the compromise, living in hiding. The night I found her at the gas station, Mom held Diane's hand the entire time, like she was afraid if she let go, Diane would disappear again. Dad just listened, tears running down his face. When Diane finished, he looked at me. You saved her. I just found her. She saved herself. No, Diane said. Mark saved me. He risked everything. His career, his safety. He walked away from his client to protect me. You're my sister, I said. There was no choice. Mom made dinner. Her Saturday pot roast. The same meal she'd made every Saturday for 30 years. We sat around the table, the four of us. For the first time in 5 years, Mom kept touching Diane. Her hand, her shoulder, like she needed constant confirmation she was real. Dad asked questions about where she'd lived, what she'd eaten, if she'd been safe. Practical questions that didn't really matter but gave him something to focus on besides the overwhelming emotion. After dinner, my phone rang. Agent Sarah. Thought you'd want to know. David took a plea deal an hour ago. What kind of deal? 25 years federal prison. No possibility of parole. He'll be 74 when he gets out. I felt something release in my chest. And Torres? 15 years. Already transferred to protective custody. He'll serve every day of it. Thank you, Sarah. For everything. Thank you. This case closed a leak that's been bleeding witnesses for 2 years. You saved more than just your sister. I hung up, told the family, watched relief wash over Diane's face. It's really over, she said. It's really over. That night, after Mom and Dad went to bed, Diane and I sat on the back porch. Same porch where we used to sit as kids. Counting stars, making plans, believing the world was bigger than our problems. I wasted 5 years, she said quietly. You survived 5 years. I missed everything. Mom's birthday parties, Dad's retirement, your life. I watched from the shadows, but I wasn't part of it. You're part of it now. She looked at me. You gave up your biggest case, probably damaged your reputation, made powerful enemies, all for me. Family isn't about keeping score. I know. But still, thank you. She leaned her head on my shoulder. Big brothers really do fix everything. I didn't fix anything. I just showed up. Sometimes that's enough. We sat there in the dark. My sister alive beside me. My parents sleeping peacefully for the first time in years. David Romano in a cell where he belonged. Not everything was fixed. Diane had years of trauma to process. My career would take hits. Our family would need time to adjust to having her back. But we had time now. That's what mattered. We had time. 6 months later, I walked into a coffee shop in Portland called Second Chances. The space was small, cozy, exposed brick walls, mismatched furniture that somehow worked together. The smell of fresh coffee and cinnamon rolls. Soft jazz playing from speakers. Sunlight streaming through big windows. And behind the counter, laughing with a customer, was my sister. She looked different. Healthy. Her hair had grown out. She'd gained weight. But more than that, she looked light. Like someone had lifted a 5-year burden off her shoulders. She saw me. Broke into a huge smile. Mark, you didn't tell me you were coming. Surprise visit. Thought I'd check out this place everyone keeps talking about. Everyone? Mom calls me weekly with updates. Diane's coffee shop is so busy. Diane made these amazing scones. Diane hired 2 employees. She laughed. Mom's my best marketing. I ordered a coffee. Dark roast. She remembered exactly how I liked it. We sat by the window after the lunch rush cleared out. Business is good? I asked. Better than I expected. Turns out people like the whole second chance theme. Plus the coffee's actually good. Which helps. And you? How are you really? She thought about it. I'm good. Some days are harder than others. I still have nightmares about David, about Torres, about running. But I'm seeing a therapist. Mom and Dad are close by, and I'm building something that's mine. I'm proud of you. I'm proud of me too. She smiled. Oh, and I'm seeing someone. Yeah? His name is James, high school teacher, divorced, 2 kids. Very normal, very boring, very safe. Boring and safe sound perfect. That's what I thought. She took a sip of her coffee. What about you? How's work? Different. Good different. After withdrawing from David's case, I'd taken a month off. Really thought about what I wanted, what kind of lawyer I wanted to be. I'd spent 15 years defending people who could afford expensive lawyers. People like David Romano. People with money and power, and no moral compass. I decided I was done with that. Now I specialized in defending victims of domestic violence. People who needed protection orders, who needed someone to believe them, who needed a lawyer willing to stand between them and the people trying to hurt them. The money wasn't as good. The cases were harder. But I slept better. That's amazing, Mark. I learned from the best. You were brave enough to run, to survive, to testify. I figured the least I could do was help other people do the same. She reached across the table, squeezed my hand. Outside the window, Portland went about its business. People walking, cars passing, life continuing. Normal and beautiful and boring. Do you ever think about that night? She asked. The gas station? All the time. Me too. I think about how close I came to running, to disappearing forever. If you hadn't stopped for gas that exact night, at that exact time, I'd still be out there. Alone, looking over my shoulder. You would have survived. You're stronger than you think. Maybe. But I wouldn't have lived. There's a difference. She was right. Surviving isn't the same as living. Mom told me David tried to appeal, she said. He did. It was denied. He'll serve every day of that 25 years. Good. No hesitation. No guilt. Just certainty that justice had been served. We talked for another hour. About nothing important. About everything. About the kind of mundane, ordinary things siblings talk about when they're not fighting for their lives. When I got up to leave, she walked me to the door. Thank you, she said. For that night. For believing me. For not walking away. You already thanked me. I'll probably thank you every time I see you for the rest of my life. I can live with that. She hugged me tight. Love you, big brother. Love you too. I walked to my car. Sat there for a moment. Looked back at the coffee shop. The sign above the door read Second Chances in cheerful yellow letters. 5 years ago, I lost my sister. That midnight at a gas station, I found her again. But more than that, I found what really matters. Not career, not money, not reputation, family, truth. The courage to stand up when it's easier to walk away. David Romano will spend the next 2 decades in prison. Michael Torres will serve 15 years. Witness protection reformed their protocols. And my sister opened a coffee shop. Not every story ends perfectly. Diane still has trauma to work through. Our parents lost 5 years they can never get back. I damaged relationships with colleagues who thought I should have stayed loyal to my client. But we're here. We're together. And that's enough. Because sometimes the most important thing isn't fixing what's broken. It's showing up for the people who need you. Even when it costs you everything. Even when the smart choice is to walk away. You show up anyway. My sister taught me that. Behind bulletproof glass at a gas station at midnight. With a note that said, "Come alone." I came. And everything changed. If this story moved you, I hope you'll share it with someone who needs to hear that it's never too late for a second chance. That being brave doesn't mean not being scared. It means doing the right thing, even when you're terrified. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Have you ever had to choose between doing what's easy and doing what's right? I'd love to hear your stories. And if you want more true stories about ordinary people doing extraordinary things when it matters most, hit that subscribe button, because everyone deserves someone who'll show up for them at midnight, even at a gas station on Route 99, especially there.